here, let me know and we'll continue.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh, and I'm going to come right back to the Baneling thing because it's part of this conversation. Um, when you go hatchery first, the natural progression is into a lot of Zerglings. That's just how it is, right?
Right, because you have to
Because you have to
be able
match
to
him.
defend
If he's
any
doing this,
aggression.
if you don't make lings and he does, you lose. If you go straight to roaches and he makes lings, you can't save your hatchery in the natural. You just can't. Your roaches are too slow, and you won't have enough of them, and they're too larva inefficient. If you go straight to roach after going hatch first, you will get 3 roaches out on your ramp, and you will block your ramp, and he will kill your hatchery every time if he has a clue. And if he doesn't have a
Okay.
clue, then congratulations, he's bad, and you just beat somebody that's terrible. But if you go straight to roach, you lose the hatchery, and that fast expansion that you invested in is wasted. So the natural progression is Zerglings. The reason it is Zerglings is because you make them so that you have them in case he makes them. And then if he doesn't make them, you punish his ass the same way. If he doesn't make Zerglings, you shove your Zerglings down his throat, and you punish him for not having them there. So you need to understand that progression. Now, after you have the Zerglings, the natural next step, and you might not like it, but that's what it is. The natural next step is Banelings, because that's how you kill, or that's one of the ways that you kill Zerglings. If you're going Zergling and he's going Zergling, then Baneling is the naturalist, most easy way to deal with Zerglings, right?
Right.
You can skip that part. It is possible to skip that part and go straight to Roach from Speedling. But in doing that, you're giving up map control.
Giving it map control.
Yes.
Okay.
That's just the way it goes. So if you don't want to play any more Baneling stuff, I will tell him no more Banelings, and we'll move on with it. But
I just think in order to well round my game, it's just focusing on doing doing 6-minute Zerg matches. I just don't think that's beneficial to me versus all the other races. I mean, from our first 3 or 4 sessions, we've been, just to justify what I'm talking about a little bit, our first few sessions we're talking totally about macro, working on the macro game and playing more macro, and it was just not worthwhile to sit there and get 20, 30 Zerglings and just go win in the first 3 or 4 minutes and have you coach that. That was just a waste of your time and mine.
I understand.
Because when you get higher, that's not going to work against every matchup. So
you're right.
That's what I'm hoping to get out of coaching, is to work on being able to work with a little early aggression, but be able to still be 14 to 16 minute mark, be maxed and trying to push to tier 3.
Okay, we can work with that. But
okay.
in moving forward, you need to understand that we start at point A. You have to pass through point B to get to point C. So I can tell you what to do at point A, and I can tell you what to do at point C. But if we skip that middle step, when you get onto the ladder and when you experience that, you're going to feel a little bit lost. And that's all I'm going to say about it anymore.
Right.
But just please don't find yourself in this situation where you're just like, oh, I keep losing the fucking Banelings after I go hatch first and get a lot of lings, because it'll happen sometimes. It will, not all the time, but it will.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, I had that same thing before. In the last week when we did nothing but Zerglings and Banelings and working on the Speedling expand, against Run, that was very beneficial, and that's probably why I won that game earlier today. But I don't want to. My point is that I don't want to jump into, even if it's ZvZ and that's the natural progression. I have so much more I need to work on with my game, that we don't need to sit here for 2 hours and do Speedling, Baneling until I win.
Fine, that's fine. All right. So Callus has said in party chat that he's sorry. It's all cool. We won't do any more of this Baneling shit. We're gonna move on. We're gonna talk more about the mid game. But just be ready in the future, when you're on ladder especially, to see that kind of stuff. And
Absolutely.
I just want you to understand that the Baneling section, you can skip it, but it is a natural part of the progression. And if you skip it, you're kind of playing at his pace, not at yours, and that's never what we want to do. So, Moving on to this next game.
Yes.
Alright, here we go. And it's worth mentioning also that if you don't want to play that Baneling game out on the map, you can do sort of a defensive Baneling where you literally only morph 1 or 2 Banes at a time, and just use those to kind of move around your natural and be like, you know, LOL, you can't attack this shit because if you do, you die, and that kind of lets you cut that corner a little bit more safely.
But that was also at that point in the game. That was also when he was doing the same thing, and then. I mean, it just gets to the point where it's a big tug of war between Zerglings and Banelings.
Yeah.
Either once there's no, it seems like on close positions, or not even close positions, but on a map such as this, that is the majority of how ZvZs are probably going to, you know, play out.
Yeah, a lot of them in there.
Because once you lose that tug of war, you pretty much, there's no like transitioning from that. You pretty much lose.
Yeah, and that's completely 100% true on when you're playing one base against one base. But when you go up to 2 bases, it opens up a little bit more fluctuation, and it does allow somebody to transition because you're matching each other unit for unit, and it's not as volatile as when it's 1 base versus 1 base, and so you can transition.
It seemed pretty volatile to me when I turned my head for 1 second. He came in with 2 Banelings and took out 7 drones. I mean, that's pretty much game ender right there. Because I had not seen this part of the map yet.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I do. And I understand the frustration, absolutely. And I've lost hundreds of games that way. Absolutely. And I'll lose hundreds more that way. I think you might need to take a breath, because you're sounding like you're still a little wound up.
I think I am a little bit. I do need to, if the spear starts kicking in a little faster.
You want to pause for a second and just step away?
No, that's alright. Just take a couple of puffs off of my my e-cigarette here and I'll be good.
Your e-cigarette?
Alright, so we're at close positions.
Yep. So you have your ling speed started, you are getting a couple lings out.
Now, at this point, do you continuously make lings until you... I mean, at this point, we're not sure where he is or what he is. We can start going to that side of the map and
you're making stuff out. Yeah, you're making units. And now you want to be expanding behind this. You see how high your money is. If we're going to go speedling expand, the expansion part needs to play a higher... needs to have a little more priority than you've given it thus far.
Okay.
And so your lings are out. You have an overlord in a lovely position, and you can see... What can you see?
He's got roaches.
He's gone straight to roach. What's his natural look like?
I ran away like a pussy, so I don't know.
Well, we need to find out. And if that means just throwing 1 ling in there, then that's that's what it's going to be. But you need to figure out if he's expanded or if he's going to be aggressive. And you see that he has indeed expanded. And you've been droning behind this, and this is actually okay. But this puts us in one of these situations where he kind of cut that corner. He went to the roach, and this is a punishable position for you. If you had, 20 speedlings right now, you could engage his hatchery. You could force his lings to come off the ramp, or his roaches off the ramp, and then you poke into the you poke into his main, and you harass him in that way. He's kind of taken that shortcut that I told us that we're not allowed to take. And you don't really have the numbers to threaten it right now, and he has a spine crawler there, so he's completely safe. So you've kind of been correct in the fact that you haven't been making lings, and you have this larva to be adding drones. So now here he is. He's shown you slow zerglings. He's shown you slow roaches. What can he do to hurt you right now?
Nothing other than if he's going Yuta behind that.
There's nothing he can do right now to hurt you. He's expanded, so the likelihood of mutas coming out is fairly low, I would say. In fact, I would put it right around 0.
Okay.
You should feel like you have a whole lot of map control right now.
Okay, so
now the next step, the next part of the progression here, as you send this overlord, you see that he hasn't even started his lair yet, is for you to kind of match him in terms of fighting power. If he gets a critical mass of roaches, you're not going to be able to kill that critical mass of roaches with just zerglings. So you have to start moving towards roaches yourself. And
so this is where I should lay roach one?
yes. Honestly, I would have put down the roach warren and an evo chamber before starting the lair, and then I would start the lair and +1 at the same time. Obviously, don't cancel anything because you're in fine shape. And it's important that you understand that in any matchup, to sustain roach production on 2 bases, you have to have 2 gases. If you're going to add anything else into your roach production, you have to also have a 3rd and 4th gas. Now you have a tremendous abundance of minerals that you amassed kind of while trying to determine what he was up to. And okay, here you see he's starting to challenge you for map control, so you have to respond to that with units. Whatever you can make, you have to make it.
1 zergling I can make.
Alright, well then that's what it's got to be until these injections pop off, which is now, so you can make more stuff. You can continue injecting. And you've been doing a really nice job with your overlords, miraculously. Like I went down and looked, and you were supply capped, and then the overlord popped, so that's good. So make sure that you maintain that supply cushion that you have been maintaining. Your evo chamber is done. Make sure it's working for you. And you have roach speed already started, which is great. So you're doing all the right stuff right now. You transferred some drones down to your natural, but you sort of oversaturated your natural in the process. I would send 10 of those guys back up to your main.
I accidentally made my drone rally point for my layer at there.
That'll do it. So you're still 3 drones oversaturated in the natural. That's 3 drones that are literally not doing anything.
So how would you determine that? Do you like select them all?
Yeah, just box them. Make a little box. Select all the drones on minerals. 2 lines of drones is perfect saturation. Anything past that is oversaturation.
2 more than that.
There you go. Perfect. Now you get it. I'll go ahead and go up to 4 gas if you're going to add this next evo chamber. And you're moving into a mid-game situation where you want to start getting stuff in place to play the healthiest mid-game you can. What does that mean? It means you need enough units to stand up to his army, and it means you need enough tech to beat his army later. And as the train passes, he runs into your base with 4 zerglings, and he's going to kill a queen. If you let him. It's a really loud train. So you are replacing that queen, which is good. You're getting your +1 attack upgrade at your evo chamber, which is important. And also important is something that you see on your minimap. Right? What do you see on the minimap?
Oh, it's going to gold.
Oh, yeah. I would only send the lings because he will counter with your roaches, if he's smart. And it looks like he is indeed smart.
Do I pull the lings back?
If you have to, do whatever it takes to not die, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. And there's a reason why it's not enough, Red. What could that reason be?
Scouting?
Probably has something to do with the 3,000 minerals you have.
Yeah, probably. And like no gas. That's sad.
So. All right.